Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2678 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, it's titled, Passing on the Legacy, Learning from Our Past, a trek through Psalm 78 verses 1 through 8. Today we begin a crucial and comprehensive trek through Psalm 78 in the New Living Translation, encompassing the foundational verses of 1 through 8. Psalm 78, like Psalm 73 through Psalm 77, is attributed to Asaph, one of King David's chief musicians and a prophet. However, this psalm stands out as one of the longest in the Psalter, acting as a grand historical narrative. It is a didactic psalm, meaning its primary purpose is to teach. After Asaph's personal spiritual crisis in Psalm 73, his communal lament in Psalm 74, and his triumphant declaration in Psalm 75 through 77 that anchored his faith in God's past deeds, Psalm 78 now explicitly lays out the vital importance of recounting that history, not just for reassurance, but for instruction. This psalm is often referred to as a history lesson that delves deep into Israel's past, recounting their repeated cycle of rebellion and God's unwavering faithfulness. But it's not merely a historical record, it's a living lesson for every generation, particularly for the youth. In the ancient Israelite worldview, the transmission of a national and spiritual heritage was paramount, ensuring that future generations understood their identity, their covenant with God, and their consequences of obedience and disobedience. This psalm is a powerful call for the elders to teach the young to listen so that they can break the cycle of past failures. So let's lean in and absorb the wisdom of this profound call to remember and to learn. First, let's read Psalm 78 verses 1 through 4. O my people, listen to my teaching. Open your ears to what I say. For I will speak to you in parables. I will explain mysteries from the past, stories we have heard and known, stories our ancestors handed down to us. We will not hide these truths from our children. We will tell the next generations about the glorious deeds of the Lord, about his power and his mighty wonders. The psalm opens with an urgent and authoritative call to attention from Asaph, the teacher. O my people, listen to my teachings. Open your ears to what I say. This isn't a casual invitation. It's a solemn command, delivered with the weight of someone who has a profound and essential truth to impart to others. My people emphasizes his pastoral care and his sense of shared destiny within the community. The call to listen and to open your ears highlights the critical importance of receptive hearts and attentive minds for what is about to be revealed. Asaph describes the nature of the instructions. For I will speak to you in parables. I will explain mysteries from the past. The Hebrew word for parables is marshal, and here it means proverbs, riddles, or dark sayings. It implies profound truths often expressed through symbolic language or illustrative narratives that require careful thought and understanding. These are not simple stories, but deep insight derived from historical events containing layers of meaning. The mystery of the past, or the Hebrew word chaidah, are profound historical lessons. They're hidden truths that aren't immediately obvious when they're revealed, but reveal God's character and his way with humanity. Asaph is not just recounting the facts, he is unveiling divine patterns and principles embedded within their history. These are not new revelations, but the retelling of a shared history. Stories that we've heard and known, stories our ancestors handed down to us. This emphasizes a continuous chain of oral tradition. These narratives are part of their collective memory, passed down from generation to generation. Asaph is reminding them of what they should already know, or perhaps what they have forgotten or misinterpreted. This communal memory is the bedrock of their identity as God's covenant people. The immediate and paramount purpose for these teachings is powerfully stated. We will not hide these truths from our children. We will tell the next generation about the glorious deeds of the Lord, about his power and his mighty wonders. This is a direct command, a firm commitment. The preceding generation has a sacred duty not to hide these truths. Hiding them would be a profound betrayal of their heritage and a spiritual disservice to their children. Instead, they must actively tell the next generation about God's glorious deeds. Those are his acts of salvation and judgment, and his power, his inherent might, and his mighty wonders. Those are his miracles. This commitment to intergenerational teaching is a recurring theme in the Psalms and the Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7 tells us, "Teach them to your children and to their children after them." For an ancient Israelite, passing this knowledge of God's redemptive history was a primary way to ensure continuity of their faith and their covenant relationship. It's how they shaped their identity and values for future generations, ensuring they understood who God was and what is required. Asaph solemnly promised to set the stage through historical recounting. Imagine a nation's foundational documents and heroic stories. They are not merely preserved in archives, but they are actively retold, taught, and celebrated in their homes and schools, ensuring that every new citizen understands their heritage and responsibility. For Israel, this was even more crucial, as their very existence, their identity, and their laws were intertwined with God's history with them. Now let's continue our trek with verses 5 through 8, where Asaph delves deeper into a divine purpose behind the historical instructions, to ensure future generations know and obey God, unlike their rebellious ancestors. Psalm 78, verses 5 through 8. For he issued his laws to Jacob. He gave his instructions to Israel. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children, so the next generation might know them, even the children not yet born. And they in turn will teach their own children. So each generation should set its hope anew on God, not forgetting his glorious miracles and obeying his commands. Then they will not be like their ancestors, stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God. Asaph emphasizes the divine origin and authoritative nature of their traditions. For he issued his laws to Jacob. He gave his instructions to Israel. This refers to the giving of the law, the Torah, on Mount Sinai, the covenant made with Israel. God himself was the author of their laws and instructions, making them supremely authoritative and foundational to their society and faith. This was not merely human wisdom, but divine revelation. And this divine revelation came with a divine command for transmission. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children, so the next generation might know them, even the children not yet born, and they in turn will teach their own children. This outlines a multi-generational imperative. The command was given directly to their ancestors. The purpose was for the next generation, including those not yet born, to know them not just intellectually, but experientially, to internalize these truths. The responsibility then falls upon them, in turn, to teach them to their own children. This creates an unbroken, perpetual chain of spiritual instruction across time, designed to prevent the loss of divine knowledge and covenant relationship. The ultimate goal of this intergenerational instruction is profoundly spiritual and practical. So each generation should set its hope anew on God, not forgetting his glorious miracles and obeying his commands. This is the desired outcome, the purpose for recounting the past. Each new generation was meant to learn from history, not just to avoid repeating mistakes, but to actively place their hope anew on God. Now this hope, the Hebrew word batak, signifies confident trust and security. It should be continually renewed, fresh for each generation, not a stale inherited faith. This renewed hope comes from two key actions: not forgetting his glorious miracles, that is, recalling God's power and intervention, as Asaph himself did in Psalm 77, and then obeying his commands, that is, living in alignment with God's revealed will. The spiritual health and vitality of each generation depends on these twin pillars: remembering God's deeds and actively obeying his word. The psalm then provides the negative example. The very pitfall of the multi-generational teaching is designed to avoid. Then they will not be like their ancestors, stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God. This is a painful truth about Israel's history, which Asaph will extensively detail in the rest of Psalm 78. Their ancestors were characterized by their rebellion and disobedience. They were stubborn, hard-hearted, resistant to God's will. They were rebellious, actively defying his authority, and they were unfaithful, breaking their covenant promises to God. The root of this problem was profound, refusing to give their hearts to God. This goes beyond outward action to the core of their being. Their disobedience stemmed from an inward unwillingness to commit fully to God, to truly love him with all their heart. It speaks to the lack of genuine devotion, a superficial relationship with the Almighty. Asaph's warning is clear. Learning from history means actively choosing a different path than that of their unfaithful forefathers. Psalm 78 verses 1 through 8 serves as a powerful prologue to a comprehensive history lesson. It is a profound call to remember, to teach, and to learn from the past, so that future generations might set their hope on God, obey his commands, and avoid the tragic pitfalls of their rebellious ancestors. What profound wisdom can we draw from these opening verses for our wisdom trek for today? Well, firstly, these verses emphasize the crucial responsibility of transmitting faith and truth across generations. Whether we are parents, grandparents, mentors, or leaders, we have a sacred duty to tell the next generation about God's glorious deeds, also His power and His mighty wonders. Secondly, true spiritual education involves more than just factual knowledge. It's about explaining the mysteries of the past, uncovering the deep principles and patterns of God's way that are embedded in history. These are about discerning the why behind the events. Thirdly, the ultimate goal of learning from the past is not just to avoid mistakes, but to actively set our hope anew on God. Our faith should be fresh, vibrant, and continuously anchored in His unchanging character and His powerful actions. And finally, Asaph's warning about being stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, and refusing to give their hearts to God is a timeless caution. True obedience comes from a heart that is fully devoted to God. This psalm calls us to examine our own hearts, ensuring that we are not repeating the mistakes of those who refuse to truly commit to Him. Let us embrace our role in this continuous chain of faith, learning from the past, living faithfully in the present, and passing on the vibrant legacy of hope in God to all who come after us. Thank you for joining me on this foundational trek through the opening verses of Psalm 78. I trust that this exploration of intergenerational faith and learning from history has resonated with your own journey and has equipped you to be a more effective teller of God's wonderful deeds. Join me again the next time when we continue to seek and apply these timeless truths of God's Word. Until then, keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day.